This is Ziflow's Autumn 2025 Product Release Webinar. We've got 5 key themes to go over here, from manual to magical, an introduction, a launch of sorts for ReviewAI, next level creative reviews powered by our proof viewer, expanding our ecosystem, our brand new Figma plugin, and more. Data that works harder for you, the ability to export proof data to CSV has gotten bigger and better, and greater control for admins, clarity for stakeholders using our amazing capabilities within ProofViewer. We'll discuss more about Ziflow's Help Center. We will answer some of your questions, like I said, through Zoom's Q&A functionality, and offer some more information and some calls to action at the end of our webinar itself. I am currently in Dallas, Texas, by way of Dedham, Massachusetts. My name's Erik Mansur, and I am Ziflow's head of product marketing. And Thanksgiving's coming up, and I gotta tell you, my favorite Thanksgiving side dish is something my mom used to make, still does in fact, candied sweet potatoes. On this slide, you will see to my immediate left a very good friend and confidant of mine, Mr. Mike Hrymak. Mike, tell him where you are from and your favorite Thanksgiving side dish.
I'm coming to you from Dallas, but I live in Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes. My favorite Thanksgiving side dish, it's got to be cornbread. With a little bit of honey butter on there, nothing beats it. I don't really eat it any other time of the year. Maybe I should.
John Stetic, he's originally from Toronto, so he celebrated Thanksgiving a couple of weeks back. John, what do you like on your table for Canadian Thanksgiving?
We went simple this year and switched up to turkey burgers. Had about 20 people at our house, and it was so much easier than cooking a massive turkey out in the backyard. Beautiful weather. It was a great way to do it.
Many attendees from all around the world to see Ziflow's newest features and functionality that we have rolled out over these past few months. So without any further ado, like I said, we got a lot to get through. Mike, let's jump into our first theme, which is from manual to magical, ReviewAI in action. Now, you've probably been amongst SaaS providers, software as a service providers in the past, and you've heard the term magical before. And I know it's sometimes overstated, but I have to tell you, what you're about to see would belong in Hogwarts. It is that cool. It is ReviewAI and our first application, which is ReviewAI for checklists. But let's talk a little bit about Ziflow writ large. We've said this before and we'll say it again. We are the only enterprise-grade collaborative proofing platform, and we can make that claim supported by 4 key elements. The first being review and approval through workflow templates, making sure the right asset gets in front of the right person at exactly the right time through that functionality that is really foundational to our platform. Once they do get there and start participating in the review process, they have rich review tools for nearly any asset type. Live websites, video, PDFs, HTML5, animations, you name it, you can do it right within our proof viewer. More and more enterprise customers are looking at things from a campaign perspective. So our groundbreaking Gallery View and Canvas View allow for you to see everything and approve anything within a browser-based interface. And the last time we spoke, our previous product release webinar, we discussed our brand new feature now in public preview, and that is multi-stage pass-fail checklists, allowing your reviewers to have objective feedback that they can leave directly within a proof across any number of different stages within your creative process. Now, of those 4 pillars, one of those is already pretty well automated. As I mentioned, routing and proof management through the use of workflow templates allow for you to sort of set it and forget it. The proof is going to get to the right person at the right time through the use of automated workflows. But what more can we automate within our platform? Well, that's what gets us to ReviewAI, adding AI-powered automation to one of the most important and sometimes time-consuming aspects of your creative process, and that is the review and approval portion. Gosh, I'm bubbling over with excitement, Mike. Please switch over to the demo where you've already uploaded a proof and you've just clicked the ReviewAI button. Talk about what is happening right now after you've enabled ReviewAI.
Yeah, well, last time we were all together, we got to talk about checklists, which was really exciting. Checklists, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a list of items that surfaces within the proof viewer that I as a reviewer can use to help with my review process, whether it's looking for specific brand guidelines, looking at certain visual elements, or just validating that a disclaimer's there, or that all the spelling and the grammar within the actual proof is accurate. And our thought was, hey, if we're already providing this list for someone to go through, could we have an AI assistant take a first stab at it? And that's exactly what's happening right now. we see as this AI review process runs, I'm starting to get suggestions right within my checklist. And I want to point out a couple of them. One, this product insert item. The description of that checklist item was, hey, we should have a circular product cutout with an accent color stroke. And I can see that this suggestion has failed thanks to ReviewAI. It's got a high reliability level, and the reason for that is because I've actually ran this check a bunch in the past. I'm constantly agreeing with it. And so ReviewAI is understanding that, hey, we're pretty good at this. We think there's a high reliability that this has been, accurate in the results. And as I scroll down and look at the intent and ultimately the execution, and finally the conclusion, I can see that while there is a circular product insert, it lacks an accent color stroke, which one glance at this file, I see, hey, yeah, that's correct. It needs that accent color stroke around it. Some other ones in here, the single logo, that's actually passed. If I look at it, it says, hey, one logo on the page, we're good. This submission is good. I don't necessarily have to spend a bunch of time worrying about that. Spelling and grammar, we see, hey, actually, this has failed as well because the phrase 5+ hours of pay time right in the middle of the screen should read playtime instead of pay time.
Okay, so let's back up. Hundreds of our customers, thousands of people are using checklists right now, and they know they can click pass or fail on individual checks. What you've just done is you've had AI basically just run and give us a pre-check of any of that objective feedback come through, and it's been indicated what it thinks is the right answer by highlighting what a human would either verify or reject right within the checklist itself. That is very cool.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. I've been showing this off for a little while. We've been having some really good conversations about how people are going to use it. Is this going to be a junior designer running it first before they send it off to their art director? Is it going to be the brand manager that's coming in and making sure that their very specific guidelines are working properly alongside the proof and being implemented well and being able to get through the review process faster? There's a lot of different ways this can be implemented, but what it's really enabling me to do is get through the review process a little quicker. Also ensure that some of these errors that maybe I might have missed or glanced over quickly are being highlighted for me right away. So I can run through this checklist, use the ReviewAI tool as my friend to help get through the pass or fail of it, and ultimately then provide some really good feedback on what does need to be improved.
I think we all use AI in a general sense, probably every day. And that first time you type in a chat or a prompt, it doesn't get the exact right answer you're looking for and requires a couple of times through. Mike, you had mentioned this notion of high reliability, and every time you sort of go through and either confirm or reject a check, it's actually going to, basically improve that prompt the next time you run the ReviewAI. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's all about learning from it. We'll get into this a little bit later on of like how we can actually improve the checklist results. But it's, we've all done it. We've had a weird comment from ChatGPT that's like, where did you get that from? And a lot of times that is because of a bad prompt. And so that's something our team is here to help with. That's here where we have resources to help teach you on what's good for ReviewAI and maybe what you should be looking to review for. But it ultimately is all based on a really good checklist prompt and telling ReviewAI, this is what I want you to look for, and tell me whether you think it passed or failed.
Mike, I've used checklists before, and I can already see that there are comments associated with the failed checks. Although I don't remember seeing you add any comments. There's even markup on the page itself. Can you explain to me what's going on there?
Yeah, glad you noticed it. I'm sure everybody at home did as well. There is some markup happening right within this proof right now. I can actually see comments are already tied to the checklist items that have failed. If I click into that comment, so for example, apply an accent color stroke to the circular product insert, look at that. ReviewAI has already suggested that comment to me to add. Now, I've got two options here. I could ignore it. Maybe that's not correct. I'll say, hey, actually, let's do this instead. I'll give it a little bit of feedback on why that was wrong. But in this instance, it nailed it. It's right. There should be an accent color stroke. And so what I can do instead is just hit that plus sign. This is actually going to open the comment up. It's not going to automatically apply it because I can now come in and add a little commentary or some additional descriptions or feedback for my designer. And then when I then post that comment, we'll actually see, one, the checklist is marked as failed for me, and that comment is now on there tied back to the actual initial one with that description again of what's failed and what's passed.
So what you've shown me here is that ReviewAI is making these suggestions, suggesting pass or fail, but also suggesting feedback that you yourself would leave. And if you're doing this manually, this could be somewhat time consuming. Here you've made all of these failed checks quite a bit easier to understand and quite a bit easier to add feedback around. And even you could just tag your copywriter to have them change the misspelled word in the copy doc where necessary. You can literally edit a comment before you even post it.
Exactly. It's all right within here. It's ready to go. The comments are there, and you can imagine a world where I open the proof up. This is already ran. It's got the suggestions ready. We'll actually see that in a second. So by the time this gets to my stakeholders, it's either already passed the ReviewAI check, or it's got feedback waiting for them to go and apply to the proof and validate.
We know from our previous webinar, or really based around checklists, that you can add a check to a given stage within a proof. And we've shown our checklist editor. Can we dive into the checklist dashboard, basically the checklist editor, and sort of ascertain how I can add ReviewAI to a checklist?
So for those of you that will have access to ReviewAI, on your checklist, there's going to be this enable ReviewAI function. And so you check the box. That's what's going to allow that colorful little icon to pop up in there, where you can start actually running ReviewAI on your proofs with the appropriate different checklists. Something else I want to note, we did talk about the prompting and making sure things are well laid out for ReviewAI to be successful. This is also where we can really address that and make sure we're providing good notes on what to look for. So for that product insert, maybe I'm seeing some things that aren't actually working well. What I can do is show the ReviewAI prompt. I could edit it. This could be up to 3,000 characters long, so I can be very particular in what I want this to review. I've also got the ability to improve. This is a little baked-in feature into Ziflow. It's basically going to say, hey, take a look at my current description and maybe expand upon it. Add more detail, add more context, which, of course, I can then also go back and edit and adjust to make sure it fits in with what my team is expecting to see.
So once again, humans are at the center of this. You've got a human readable description that people can understand the nuance before a human ticks the box. But then you can also have an AI readable, a prompt description to basically say, hey, AI, pay attention to these other, nuances that I can't really convey in a short human readable description.
Exactly. Makes it very clear. And it's just nice. It's a nice little function there, an update for me to be able to just, again, provide good prompts, because without good prompts, you're not going to have good results. And again, that is something we're here to help. We've got a lot of experience already setting some clients up with this in private preview. So if you have questions, you want to bounce an idea off us, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right. AI generated objective feedback, AI generated feedback itself and markup. I can imagine a world, Mike, where my designer has gone through version 1. They've seen all of the stuff, feedback, things that have been rejected, and they've uploaded a version 2. Gosh, I can see a world where ReviewAI just is alone on a stage in and of itself, and it runs automatically, and I don't get a chance to see it until ReviewAI has already gone through the checklist and has passed it on to me.
So what I did here is, in the background, with a little bit of magic, I uploaded a new version of that proof. And I actually set it this time for ReviewAI to run automatically, because that's something we can do. I should be able to just open the proof up and see that come through. And then off of that, if ReviewAI passes everything, why are we waiting for stage 1? Why are we waiting for someone to validate it? Maybe we just send it straight off to our stakeholders, where now Allie and Carol and Erik can come in here and maybe start adding comments off of what ReviewAI suggested, or start being a little bit more particular and looking at more maybe subjective feedback than, hey, is the spelling and grammar correct, or is this matching up with our brand guidelines?
That is very cool, and I'm sure Eddie from New Zealand and Cole from Indiana, Joanna from Portugal, Chrissy from Missouri are probably blown to the back of their chair knowing that ReviewAI can handle basically the first stage of your creative review. John Stetic, I want to bring you in here. It is your team that has been working on ReviewAI for the better part of a year and is excited to roll out the first application of ReviewAI for checklists. I want you to sort of, crystallize for our audience what this actually means and sort of the progression, how we got to this moment.
Yeah, so now that you've seen this whole demo and see everything end to end, I want to just put it into a bit of context, Erik, as you said, because really what you've just watched is the progression of how creative reviews are evolving and what the next generation of creative review actually looks like. So we all know teams start with, and you're all doing this today, with manual and in a way ad hoc reviews. So where every reviewer has to remember what to check, and they're taking their own perspective as to how to check things. It works, but it can sometimes be slow, sometimes be inconsistent, and then lead to more revision cycles that are actually needed. So then we obviously showed last webinar that checklist brings structure to this. So instead of relying on the tribal knowledge, checklists can guide reviewers right in the proof viewer, step by step in the review process to ensure nothing gets missed. Then what we've now excited to bring in is how you see AI can take over those checks and bring in suggestions. So it reads the asset, compares it to the checks, and then instantly surfaces the issues with suggested check results, really removing some of that repetitive work that reviewers had to do manually. So again, accelerating the review process. And that's really the starting point of where you're getting value from AI. But then from there, as we've just showed you, we move to AI assisted feedback. So you watch the system not only detect issues, but actually draft comments and add markups to give clear, actionable, and ready for reviewers to approve or adjust the specific feedback that it's given. Then the final state, sort of, level 5, if you will, of where we want to get to, previewed this for you today, was fully automated reviews. So for repeatable or high volume creative, AI can eventually review and approve the content end to end, dramatically speeding the entire process. So everything that you just saw fits into this progression, from manual effort to guided reviews with checklist to intelligent automation and ultimately towards autonomous creative approvals. That's the journey that ReviewAI enables, especially in those last 3 phases. And today's demo was a look at how each step has already come to life and is available to use today.
So we wouldn't be talking about this on this sunny day in November if we have not had folks already participate in our early access program for ReviewAI. John, can you talk about some of the results that you have seen or those folks have seen with already engaging with this technology?
Sure. So we've pulled out 2 case studies here that I think are interesting, and they're from 2 very different industries as well. So it shows the general applicability that ReviewAI can work with. So the first is a major medical insurance provider. They're working with ReviewAI to transform what is quite a complex and compliance-heavy review process. So their team manages a network of partners who create thousands of regulated marketing and communication assets each month. And so they all require alignment with federal, state, insurance carriers, and internal rules and policies. So they can take all those requirements and encode them into checklists. And they're actually have set up some clever automations too, where checklists will get added dynamically depending on the type of content that it is. So add this checklist if it's a TV ad script, or add this checklist if it's a display ad. And then they let ReviewAI run the initial checks. And so they're now moving towards their goal to cut review time by 50%, reducing their compliance risk, and also creating a far more scalable, consistent workflow across their marketing and compliance team. So a great example of how ReviewAI is being used today in a highly regulated industry.
You have another one as well, a name that most people are probably familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. So many of you are probably familiar with Leatherman, those awesome multi-tools that you keep in your backpack or in the glove compartment of your car or in your kitchen utility drawer. Such an awesome product. I love these things. They're really a premium brand with a small but mighty marketing team. So they're producing more and more content across all sorts of channels, whether it's social, retail, their digital channels. But with limited headcount and thoughtful use of their marketing budgets, every minute of review time matters. So they've started using ReviewAI to automate the first line of defense and brand compliance, running through structured checklists that ensure tone, imagery, messaging stays consistent across every asset. The initial results are showing some promising reduction in repetitive manual effort. So ReviewAI can flag potential issues early so the team can focus their time on where it matters most, which is really about creating the compelling content that keeps the brand's premium reputation intact. So they see ReviewAI not just as a tool, but as a transformative way to scale creativity without adding costs or compromising quality.
Love my Leatherman tool. It is in my desk drawer at home. I'm not allowed to bring it on an airplane. Those are just 2 examples of folks who are already engaging with ReviewAI. How do other existing customers who are on our call right now, how do they get involved with using ReviewAI?
Right. So now that we've seen it in action, so here's really what it takes to get started. So first of all, ReviewAI is a paid add-on that can be added directly to your existing Ziflow plan. So there's no migration, no disruption. we'll actually work with you to help you optimize or create your checklists so that AI runs the right checks with the highest reliability. And as part of that onboarding process too, you'll get guided sessions for setup, training, and also be able to give us some continuous feedback, because obviously we all know AI is a continually evolving technology and we'd love to hear more of your feedback. But the goal is ensuring that your team can get to value quickly. So Review AI add-ons available today for our enterprise customers. And for those of you that are interested in exploring it now, you can take advantage of some introductory pricing that we have for the add-on through to the end of the year. So if you'd like to learn more, reach out to your customer success manager. It's a great moment to get in and start accelerating your review cycles.
This is going to sound like exaggeration, but it truly is the future of collaborative proofing. And if you want in on the ground floor, please reach out to your customer success manager today. We will be proud to have a conversation about getting ReviewAI added to your enterprise subscription. With that, Mike, let's jump over to our second theme of the day, which is next level creative reviews. We have added so much cool stuff to our proof viewer over these past few months, starting with technology that we just sort of showed off, which is checklists. Admins want to be able to make a change to a checklist live, and you've already given a sneak preview of this. Someone you've already clicked the button during our Review AI demo. Let's show how we make changes to checklists on the fly and refresh them within Proof Viewer.
Yeah, for those eagle-eyed viewers out there, you may have noticed when I went to go to the checklist settings, I hit this little pencil up top. And so if I'm looking at this checklist and maybe I think the prompt isn't great, or I want to add in some additional section headers, or maybe a whole new checklist item, what I can do is just edit this checklist if I am an admin or someone that has access to edit checklists. And that's going to take me right to it. I don't have to again navigate to the settings and then workflow or checklist templates and choose the right one. From here, I have all the options I need. I can go through and address and edit this. I can add in additional details, add in additional checks. And once I save that checklist, it's just as simple as jumping back in here and refreshing, and this is going to reset my checklist to the newest version of it.
So again, admins can do this right now from within Ziflow. If you are using checklists, please get a chance to kick the tires on that feature. One thing, Mike, that you're showing on the screen here is that the checklist description itself has a what you see is what you get editor. So I can even add a bulleted list, a numbered list. I can, copy and paste in perhaps from a Google Sheet or Microsoft Word doc to make that human readable description that much more valuable.
Yeah, just makes it easy. I mean, we want to make it easy when you put your stuff in here to be able to have really clear context and guidance for your reviewers. A lot of people are building this in a Google Doc somewhere or in a Google Sheet. And so when you bring this into Ziflow and start using that checklist, we don't want you messing around with formatting and having to spend more time doing that. It's just put that right in here. The updates we have made are making it really easy for your editors to use some of those familiar formatting tools.
Speaking of making it easy, Mike, you're in the dashboard here. There's a plus button on the left-hand nav that's a lot of times people overlook. Talk about how we've made that easier too.
Mike Hrymak pro tip number 1 of the day is the plus sign button. People always forget about it. I always forget about it. If you are in the dashboard and you want to create a checklist or go and create a flow, right here, I just hit that plus sign. I hit checklist, which has been added in here along with the adding proofs or folders or new users. And that's going to take me right to the checklist creation screen from anywhere within the Ziflow dashboard.
Also, an option underneath that plus sign is to create a flow, which will take you directly to our groundbreaking Ziflow Connect area, which really within the software gives you the ability to make Ziflow so much more embedded a part of your creative process. We've added a new trigger to a Ziflow Connect flow that is completely related to the notion of checklists and checklist items.
Yes, so this is Mike Hrymak pro tip number 2. I just went and created a new flow. Always name your flow as step 1. I don't know how many times I've created a new flow and then I create it and I can't find it because I've got 7 other new flows already in my Connect section. So make sure you name your flows. It makes your life so much easier. But from here, if you've used this Connect section before, you know it's all about putting the puzzle pieces together. When an event happens in Ziflow, I want this to happen with my project management tool or my DAM or to send an email. And so what we've added is when you choose the application as Ziflow, the end of the list now, I've got my checklist result trigger. And that could be when a full checklist is completed. It could be when an individual check item is made, either by a person or ReviewAI. It can then trigger any number of events. I mean, really, our customers have been the ones who've created best practices for using Ziflow Connect. And I personally really look forward to seeing how you start using this new Connect trigger for your checklist and to really move your creative process forward.
Let's draw a line on some of the checklist-related updates we have made and go back to Proof Viewer. This is really relevant for all users of Ziflow's Proof Viewer. I'm a dark mode guy. I know you're a dark mode guy, but sometimes dark mode simply doesn't work for this type of stuff we're reviewing. How do I make best use of Proof Viewer when I'm looking at an asset like this, a PNG or an SVG with transparency, that dark mode just isn't working for me?
Well, let me ask you this, Eric. I know we went through a pretty big brand refresh earlier this year, which turned out great. Fantastic job by the team. You said you're a dark mode guy. How does this look?
This is the dark version of Ziflow's new logo, the midnight blue version, but in the dark mode of Proof Viewer, it looks like crap. And I would never actually put the dark version of logo on a dark background like this. So how do I best, sort of simulate what it would look like on a white background?
Yeah, well, so John and I both did our best to wear the midnight blue today. I don't think you got the memo. But with this, if I want to see this on a more reasonable background, what I can do is up top, I've got this background change option. I can make it transparent. I can put it on a white background, which is probably where this is going to be most often used. I can also just choose any old color in the rainbow. Anything I want here, I can put in my code. This is really going to allow me to take those transparent images and put them in the view that makes most sense for me and my reviewers.
Color is important to me, but it's really important for those customers who are using Ziflow for packaging or print materials. So we've also made some adjustments to our color separation and measurement tools to make them even easier to use.
Yeah, so what I've got here is I've got a proof with both the, going to rotate that around for us. I've got the measurement area as well as the color separations turned on. So a couple things to point out. One, this measurement area, I am able to resize it. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. Same thing for both options. I can also minimize to, keep it open, but maybe get it out of the way if I'm looking at a larger format package design or any print design. And additionally, with this, I can hide color values with 0%. So as I hover over, I see what's up there. This is really particularly useful when working with proofs that contain a large number of embedded spot colors. I can filter out the 0. I can see that long list without having to scroll down to the bottom. It's all just surfacing right within the proof viewer for me to help out with that review experience.
Mike, we mentioned this at the top of this theme. We've put it towards the back here. It's the thing that I'm perhaps most excited about, and that is our new capability, which is currently in private preview, the ability to import comments from PDFs. We know there are a lot of customers out there, a lot of people within the sound of my voice, who probably have an aspect of their review process and it needs to happen outside of Ziflow. Perhaps they are actually using Adobe Acrobat, or their team members are using Adobe Acrobat to leave comments manually in that piece of software. And they will have had to take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 comments and add them into Ziflow manually. We have now eliminated that manual process through the use of this new feature currently in private preview. Mike, show it off.
No more cutting and pasting comments. We can see in Acrobat right now, I've just got a file with a couple different comments added in. Someone came in and marked this up. And instead of me having to maybe upload the file and then go through one by one and bring that comment over to Ziflow, what I've done is actually taken that file and created a proof with it. And now if I go over to the comments section, these 3 dots, I can import comments from the PDF. And this is going to bring these comments in here with the corresponding markup as well. Again, I don't have to go through and manually bring these over. Ziflow does that for me when I upload the PDF. It's right there ready for me to either add additional feedback or now have saved in my activity and audit log.
Oh, that's interesting. You mentioned activity and audit log. These are actual Ziflow comments now. So you're going to go to the activity log. I'll see, there they are. Okay, so this is now a fully compliant review process. You've basically just obviated the need to have to copy and paste the comments, precisely recreate the markup from the PDF. Just clicking import will do it effectively automatically.
Exactly. Brings them right in. You can then have those markups saved. Not only just the actual markup, but the comment itself. And all of that is collected within the activity and audit trail, even if I go and export the proof report later on down the line.
Few more things to go over within this proof viewer theme here during our webinar. The first being we have made a change to an existing feature's name. We used to have something called decision checklist, where when you clicked make a decision, it would prompt your users with a set of reasons that let them explain their rationale for making such a decision. That's confusing. We already have checklists. So we've changed the name of this to Decision Reasons, and you will see that on your Pro and Enterprise plans in the settings right now. Second thing, we have very much improved the experience for Proof Viewer on mobile. So better ways to understand what is a batch review, easier navigation, an expanded set of menu options, and we have optimized checklist for use on your mobile device. As I mentioned, we love hearing your feedback on whether it be on importing comments from PDFs, but also on ReviewAI and more cutting-edge functionality we are working on. John, I want to bring it back into our conversation. We are working on a new feature for packaging teams, or really any team that want to be able to examine a proof a little bit more in detail, barcodes, fonts, etc., etc. Talk a little bit about what we're doing here from a development perspective into 2026.
So we're actually building a new in-viewer verification tools that let you inspect barcodes, QR codes, and fonts directly in the proof. So no external apps to you got to pull out and take a picture of the screen to check your QR code or your barcodes. So this keeps your reviews fast and focused by eliminating a bunch of context switching. So you can validate packaging barcodes for compliance and accuracy, or confirm that QR codes work correctly for print to digital calls to action. And with the verification status tracked in the proof, teams get clearer oversight, easier audits, and more confident approvals. So this is a feature that's been asked for a lot on our ideas board, and specifically for any of you that are working in packaging, or I know QR codes are getting used in more and more assets in lots of different places. And especially if you've got font requirements, like a lot of you will say, I need to know, or is any font smaller than 6 points, for example, because my guidelines can't allow, 6 is the smallest font I can use. This can help you. So some exciting work that's happening right now. We're in the design phase. That your feedback will directly influence how that feature actually gets built.
Further expansion of Ziflow's ecosystem, and we are proud to introduce our all-new Figma plugin now in public preview, literally available within the Figma community today. Mike, you've already downloaded the plugin. Let's show a little bit about how it actually works in a true production environment.
I'm set up and ready to go. I mean, I'm really excited about this. This is something I've been asked about for a pretty good amount of time. We have this great extension into the Creative Cloud. When is it going to come into Figma as well? And well, it's here. It's landed. It's ready to go. Inside of Figma, if I want to share an asset or a new version of something, I can go and launch the Ziflow for Figma plugin. And this is going to look pretty familiar for those of you that have used the Photoshop or Premiere or InDesign plugin before. I've got my list of proofs ready to go. I can go out and review content. I can create proofs from here as well. So maybe I want to share something. When I go to create that proof, all I have to do is choose the corresponding tile or tiles that I want to share. And I've got two options. I can upload as a PNG, so it's going to be a little bit quicker. It's going to flatten it. There's not going to be that text layer there, though. I can also do a PDF, which will bring the text elements in. That allows for me to highlight and say, let's replace this with that. So just a little bit more flexibility. And from there, I can choose my folder and, of course, give it a name to share out for review. Now, when that proof comes back and there's feedback, one thing we've added to not only the Figma extension, but also the Creative Cloud extension is a new filter to show me specifically my proofs that are marked as changes required, which right at the top there, I've got one for Figma. So when I click review, this is going to take me to the proof. I can go see the feedback that was left and maybe add some commentary around it as well. And then when I'm happy with a new version, same thing. I choose the new version option. I choose the tile I want to bring in. I choose if it's going to be a PNG or PDF and create. And that's going to ship this file out of Figma, send it off to my designers, and you can only imagine what happens next. My emails are going out automatically. My project management tool is getting updated to reflect this new version status. And all those little things that maybe I used to have to do manually when exporting the file and sending out, Ziflow's taking care of for me. And Erik, I know you use Figma a lot. You don't now have to comment with your reviewers in Figma.
I do. I do product marketing for Ziflow, not for Figma, but I have to assume that the promise of Figma was to allow for a more collaborative design environment. And I think the reason why you're hearing from a lot of Figma users that, hey, it'd be great to have a Figma plugin for Ziflow, because you sometimes don't want your stakeholders in your design environment. That may not be a positive promise for the future. This gives you the ability to sort of take that snapshot, freeze your design as a moment in time, have the true version control that you need when you are designing, And this plugin for Figma gives you the ability to have that true version control and access to comments and, hey, this version compared to this version, because Figma just doesn't give you that control and capability. And this opens up that whole world of possibilities there.
It just makes sense to have an option for you to get your content from Figma into Ziflow very easily.
Go to the community and type in Ziflow, Z-I-F-L-O-W. You will see our Figma plugin currently in public preview. We would love to hear more of your feedback on this new functionality. We are so excited to launch our Figma plugin earlier this week, so get in there and check it out. Let's jump to our fourth theme, Michael, and that is data that works harder. A few webinars back, we talked about our expanded capabilities around exporting proof data to CSV. We've made some changes to the actual export of that data, but the thing that I'm most excited about, if you're a data novice, the ways we've given you additional legs up on how to make best use of that data once you get it out of Ziflow. Mike, let's start from within the dashboard, though.
Before you can use any model to interpret the data, you have to get the data out of Ziflow, and we do make it pretty easy for you. Once you've kind of set your filtered view within the dashboard of proofs you want to export, I can go up here and say, let's export this to a CSV. I do want to note, if you've done this before, this is an updated modal design. So we've included some additional features allowing like which time zone you select this in, the date and time format, whether it's going to be spreadsheet compatible or more database compatible. I also want to note, of course, we're going to be able to include like stages and reviewers and comments. We've actually expanded upon some of the details within the comment report as well. So it's going to tell you information about the file, maybe what page or the timestamp it came from, so you can even further interpret this data. This is also available now for managers to export. It's not just admins, because a lot of the times the managers are the ones that are actually running this report. So we've opened it up for you to allow managers to do this. And finally, we remember the settings. If this is part of your weekly cadence to come in and export the data and run a report, we're going to remember what you chose before, so you don't have to go check the box every single time you've exported something.
I love it. So you've exported some data. Now, what do I do with it? Some people may be very data savvy and are VLOOKUP experts, but what if you're not?
Yeah. So we've actually taken the time and effort to build out a Google Sheet and Microsoft Excel template that you can insert your data in. So if this is something that's a little bit intimidating, but you want to start interpreting what your proofing data means, you can go in and import this into the CSV or the Excel or the Google Sheet. And so this is what it looks like, and it's got some sample data in here right now. I see information about like the number of proofs that we've completed and stage turnaround time, reviewer turnaround time as well. There's some additional tabs below that go into further detail of the different comments and stages and reports that you can run. And this is something we've actually learned from. Looking at the reviewer turnaround time, something we noticed with one of our reviewers who will not be named today is that they were very slow to open the proofs up. But when they opened it, they were very quick to make a decision on that content. And so the thought was, hey, if we could get this in front of them a little bit quicker, we're going to turn those proofs around it and get the sign off on it, faster, of course. So we did a whole configuration of a Slack integration where they get pinged there, they know it means business. That has cut down on the amount of time it takes for them to open that proof. And because we knew once they open it, they're quick to making a decision, that has cut down on the overall turnaround time to get content signed off on.
I bet that offending reviewer's name rhymes with John Stetic, but I don't know for certain. Very cool templates. You're viewing this within Google Sheets, and I know you mentioned there's a CSV, sort of a Microsoft Excel option. How do I get access to this, and how do I learn more about how to use these templates?
Yeah, well, I know we're going to talk about the Help Center a little bit later on. I do want to hit on it. This is such a great resource for you to learn about anything within Ziflow. Specifically, though, we do have an export and analyze section that covers, one, how you can interpret this data using our templates. So if you go here in the Help Center, you search for CSV Export, you're going to find this, which is where you can go and make a copy of the templates for your own use. This is also going to teach you how to import the data, how to interpret it. There's a whole page on what the data means and the descriptions of it. This is such a great resource for you to learn about Ziflow and specifically for you to come in and learn about how you can take your proofing data and make your proofing process better by using either your own tool, of course, or some of the templates that we can provide.
For our last theme, but certainly not our not least theme, we want to talk about greater control for your administrators and perhaps even greater clarity for your stakeholders. First with Ziflow's People tab, and then with the work we've done on proof briefs, making it easier to upload and share those proof briefs to others. Mike, let's start on the People tab and talk about some of the changes we've made to the nomenclature there to make it easier to understand.
Yeah, this is all about just adding a little clarity to the Ziflow account. So some things we've done, all contacts is now called everyone. And even when I go to add people, instead of adding a contact, I'm adding a guest. And the reason behind that is, a contact really could be a user, it could be a light user, it could be a guest. It was kind of a generic term. And so we've made it a little bit more clear. We've simplified the language that, it is users, it is light users, it is guests, as opposed to this like all interpreting contact description for everyone. There's some new tooltips and definitions in here as well. But it's just about, adding some clarity. A lot of people on here are admins and managers who are managing the people tab. So it's just things are a little more clear for you when you're working within here.
User, light user, guest, I may receive an email that asks me to come and participate in a creative review and approval process by clicking on the blue button to open Ziflow's Proof Viewer. Sometimes I want a little bit more context before I click that button. In the past, you would have had to have manually typed in to an email notification, email template, what it is you're looking for somebody to do. Now we've made it even easier for you to share the context about that proof with your added reviewers.
Yeah, so what you're seeing me do right now is I'm creating a proof, much like many people do every day. I did include some brief description in there, some brief info, which if you notice, that didn't really come from the best source. And so that actually did come through very clear. And then now that email has been sent out to myself and Carol, if we go look at the email, it actually includes that content right within the description and the body of the email itself. So that Carol not only sees it when she opens the proof up, but it's also present right when she actually receives that file in the email. She can jump right in and already have a head start on what she needs to review.
So none of that ridiculous yellow highlighted red text formatting. By copying and pasting, we've already converted that to Markdown, so you're not going to have that issue even within Proof Viewer itself. And when you build out your notification email templates, you can now include that token that says proof period brief period text to make it automatically and dynamically populate to add that level of information to your proofing process.
Yeah, so really easy to jump into, drop that text in, maybe add a note around, hey, this is what this proof is all about in that body as well. But it just presents very well now when my reviewers and stakeholders come in. They just know what they're about to get into when they open that proof up.
Before we get to our Q&A, I want to talk about a couple of other updates we have made to our administrative settings and capabilities from these past few months. The first is for those teams that have both internal proof creators and perhaps external proof creators, and you want different rules for those two creation processes. You've built custom properties within your platform, and you want your external proof creators who are using intake forms to make sure that the properties that they add to the proof are mandatory. Well, in the past, you would have had to make it mandatory for everybody, meaning your folks who are using Ziflow's dashboard to create a proof, they would have had to manually use those custom properties. Well, not anymore. You can now make custom properties mandatory at the intake form level, not across the entire tenant. So now it's that much easier to make sure your external proof reviewers are respecting parts of your process that aren't necessarily need to be respected by your internal proof creators. Second thing on this slide, the ability to specify email sender on both free, standard, pro, and now obviously enterprise plans. So when you are creating a new proof or a new version, you can identify in the settings if you want the sender of that email to be the proof owner, the user creating the proof of the version, or of course Ziflow's standard system notification. One more thing before we get to some of the Q&A and some of our Help Center related things. By thing, I mean slide. We are so happy to announce the ability to pass user type information via SCIM. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Ziflow has supported the SCIM user provisioning protocol through SSO providers for quite some time. Many of you perhaps using Okta or a similar SSO provider. And if you are enabling SCIM or using that protocol to provision new users, you now have the ability to create new users via your SSO provider by specifying the Ziflow user type, whether it be user or light user, manager. So you don't have to run into perhaps the seat ceilings too quickly. You can specify which of those new users you are creating through your SSO platform are light users or managers, admins, or otherwise. Last on this slide, before we jump into some sort of bring this thing in for a landing, we're proud to announce that our out-of-office settings, which we have talked about at a couple of webinars in the past, are now generally available. No longer having a public or private preview tag. You can set your start and end dates perfect for the upcoming festive holidays. And of course, we have indicators sprinkled throughout the platform, letting others know that that person has marked themselves as out of office. Mike spent some time a second ago talking about Ziflow's Help Center. That is help.ziflow.com, help.ziflow.com, help.ziflow.com. It is an amazing resource. It's almost like our Wikipedia. And our team has worked so hard to make it even better. And we're so excited to talk about some of those improvements. John.
The goal here was really quite simple. We wanted to make it easier and faster for you to find the answers that you need. So we've introduced a new left-hand menu and completely rebuilt the information architecture around your real user workflows, not necessarily the feature silos that might have existed before. So articles are labeled and cross-linked so you get the information, or really just the right information, in a click or two. So you can, if there's one topic you're talking, there's a bunch of other related topics that you can just jump to in a click or two. We've also added smarter learning right in the flow of what you're reading. So we've got more embedded video clips, clearer callouts to Ziflow Academy, which is an incredible resource that all users, if you can log in as a user, you have access to Ziflow Academy if you want to go deeper into certain topics. And instead of long feature descriptions, the content flow now focuses on really step-by-step guidance that is easy to follow. Finally, there's the entire experience is now more consistent for the templates, the visual, and the tone. It's cleaner, clearer, and built to evolve as we continue to learn from your feedback. And again, more theme on feedback here. At the bottom of each article, there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Let us know. Was this article helpful for you? Great. If we've got it right, give us a thumbs up. If it didn't answer your question, give it a thumbs down. Maybe in the comment, you can ask a question or say what was missing. It's not really a substitute for submitting a support request, but it's great feedback for us, and we pay attention to that to help shape how we can continue to improve it. A couple other notes too, just some questions that were asked around, people were asking about how to get access to the templates for CSV exports, so the Google Sheet and Excel. There's a great help article. You could just search for CSV export in the Help Center. That will link to the Google Sheet as well as the downloadable copy of the Excel file if you like. Also, ReviewAI, there's lots of good guides about ReviewAI there, just how it works, some of the concepts, some of the areas where it's good at, some of the areas that AI is not quite at the point where the state of the art isn't quite good at checking certain things. Gives you some details there, as well as discusses which models we use, which was a question that was asked. So today, ReviewAI actually uses two different models, one from OpenAI, another one from Google using Gemini. So there's some good underlying knowledge that's available in that Help Center. One last piece here. We've talked a bunch about AI when it comes to helping you. We want to give you access to help as easy as you can. Of course, our awesome support team is available. And if you've got a customer success manager, they're great to reach out to. Sometimes you need a question answered super quickly. We've got a great support chat that you can just click on, type in your question, and we've retrained our AI-based support agent around all this new knowledge that we put into the Help Center. So it will either give you the answer or direct you to links on the Help Center to help you solve your question faster. So some great opportunities there for you to learn more and get more of your detailed questions answered as soon as possible.
Speaking of asking questions, our webinar attendees have been utilizing Zoom's webinar Q&A functionality to ask us questions, and we thank you for that. Almost 60 questions have been asked, and more than half of them, way more than half, three quarters of those questions have already been answered live by our minions in the back. We'd like to answer a few of those questions live. John Brooke asks, can we use the ReviewAI to make sure table of contents are correct or that URLs are hyperlinked? I see the note about being limited to 10 pages right now. Is there a plan to allow for more? Our documents are 20 to 40 pages on average.
Yeah, that's great. And we wanted to answer this question live just to clarify that point around the 10-page limit. So today we have it limited where ReviewAI can check up to 10 pages in a document. The reason that we're doing that is we found as the documents got longer, AI started to get a little bit more confused and it kind of lost track in the document, especially if things are referencing, like for example, tables of contents, where there's something up on page 1 and you want to reference headings that are down on page 40. So what we're doing is actually, this is something we're working on now, is some underlying technology that makes it more available to process those large scale documents and give you accurate results. We could turn it on and process 100-page documents, but what we found in some of our testing is that the results weren't up to the level that we wanted them to be at. So we're just refining how the underlying technology processes it. So that is coming next year, where we'll be expanding from those 10-page limits.
Another question, also from Brooke, who seems to be very interested in this. Can you have 2 checklists on each proof? We would love to have one for the designer, then one for the proofer, since they have a few different things to check.
Yeah, you definitely can. So you can assign multiple checklists per stage. So that's important too. So each stage can have its own checklist and multiple checklists as well. Originally, with checklists in preview, you could assign up to 3 checklists per stage. That limit will be removed very shortly. So you'll be able to assign practically, you put 20 checklists on there. That's probably not the best way to do it, but you'll be able to add more checklists. As you can see, Mike's pointing out here that you can add multiple checklists within each stage.
So apply the checklists when you are creating a stage or creating a proof from within the stage. Add ReviewAI to the checklist when you're creating the checklist. So just so people understand the path there, ReviewAI is on the checklist is on the stage is on the proof, and the wheels turn round and around and around. The wheels keep moving all around. Question from Emily, does ReviewAI work with videos? John?
So it doesn't today, though we have tested this in the lab, and there are some things that we can do with video that we're pretty excited about. What we're focusing on right now is making sure we're getting good, reliable results on static proofs. Then ultimately, a video just becomes thousands of static proofs. So similar to the way we think about processing large multi-page documents, there's something similar to that concept of now processing a number of images, which is really what makes up a video. So that will be coming in the future, but today's focus is on static assets.
An anonymous attendee, naughty, I hope you don't work for one of our competitors, asks, is ReviewAI limited to checklists, or can it compare versions of a proof and detect whether required changes were made?
So the first part of ReviewAI here, which is ReviewAI for checklists, you saw what's demoed today. The next iteration of ReviewAI starts to get into change verification. So we can take version 1, version 2. For those of you who have attended past webinars, we've walked through some mock-ups of that version compare. So that's something we're working on with ReviewAI for next year. And great to hear the call out on it, assuming you're asking because this would be something that would be valuable to you.
2 last quick ones, John, before we bring this in for a landing. Caitlin, my good friend Caitlin, asks, which AI engine does ReviewAI utilize? You mentioned it earlier, but it bears repeating.
Sure. Yeah. So we use both models from OpenAI, so specifically GPT-5 right now, and we're testing the 5.1 model, and then also Google Gemini 2.5. And for those of you following the AI world, Google just announced Gemini 3, which will be available next week, which will then also be testing, and we'll be staying up to date with the latest versions of the models once we've put them through our testing paces.
And last question, we've heard from so many of you, and we cannot thank you enough for this. Cindy asks, who has access to this ReviewAI? How do we enable? Just it bears repeating how somebody gets access to ReviewAI in our public preview period.
ReviewAI, as we mentioned, it is a paid add-on. So what we'd like people to do, if you are interested in this and you're on our enterprise plan, please reach out to your customer success manager. They can have more details as to how to get that enabled for you. We've actually specifically designed this introductory offer to be very easy for you to add into your subscription and give you lots of capabilities or lots of number of checks essentially to allow you to run as much as you like to do. And there's 2 important things to note here when you think about adapting AI into your infrastructures and into your processes, as I'm sure you're doing across lots of different parts of your business. One is there's a real cost to the AI to us, obviously. So this is why it's a paid add-on. The other piece is that it takes some time to work out where does this actually fit into our environment? How do we want it to work? And the reason it takes a little bit of time is because you need to try it across a bunch of different assets and different checks and sort of evolve how you want to use it. We all know, the first time you used ChatGPT, you typed in something, you're like, oh, that was kind of good. Maybe I should try it again. And then as you use it more, you've gotten smarter as to how to use it. And that's the same thing with ReviewAI. So we encourage people to think about this as sort of a transformative project over the course of the year. And we've set up our introductory pricing to make it very accessible and easy for people to add on so they can start working with it. So reach out to your CSM. They'll have all the details and we can discuss how to get you enabled with ReviewAI.
I'm about to do my best Chesley Sullenberger impression and land this plane. Let me give you, our attendees, some calls to action here. For more information, please jump over to our Help Center and check out our Autumn 2025 webinar recap article. It is there you will find links to all of the features that we discussed during today's webinar. Also, jump over to our YouTube channel. There's a ton of amazing content, and we will be sharing a recording of this webinar for you to send over to your colleagues. We'll hopefully have that posted on Monday. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your customer success manager, either directly or via customer.success@ziflow.com, or you can schedule a meeting with one using the link you see on the screen. There's also more opportunities to get more details about the features we are delivering to all of you outside of these webinars, and that is through our In the Flow newsletter. Sign up at ziflow.com/blog, where you will be able to get a monthly delivery to your inbox with links to our Help Center and our release notes, letting you know what we have delivered over those past 4 weeks. We also have Ziflow's customer office hours every other Tuesday, fortnightly connections with our amazing customer success team at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And finally, Ziflow Academy. It's academy.ziflow.com, academy.ziflow.com, academy.ziflow.com. It is on-demand, video-based training. We are constantly adding new sessions. We've just added one on Ziflow Connect, another on how to make best use of Ziflow with Slack or with Microsoft Teams. So jump in there and get yourself learned on all things Ziflow. That's it. We're at the top of the hour. My name's Erik Mansur, and on behalf of my good friend John Stetic and my good friend Mike Hrymak, we were so happy and proud to present to you the features we've delivered over these past few months through the form of Ziflow's Autumn 2025 product release webinar. We cannot wait to speak with you again just after the first of the year in 2026. Until then, have a wonderful holiday and festive season for you and your entire family. And until next we speak, I encourage all of you to have a sparkling day.